Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today we're talking about finding or leading a static. If you've been playing 14 for a while, then at some point you will most likely have been interested in raiding. I know not everyone will be interested in it, but most people will have been at some point, even if it was just to see what the fuss was all about. Now, if you want to raid, then you have a few choices. You can go into Party Finder, pair up with 7 other random people, and hope you can progress through the fight. But Party Finder comes with the drawback that you will most likely end up with different people each time, and especially when progressing through a raid tier, this can lead to frustrations as you often need to reprog earlier parts of the fight because someone new joined the party. And even when doing weekly re-clears, it's up in the air whether or not the group that you get is actually good. Party Finder though comes with no commitments, so you can just go in whenever you have time or feel like playing, and you can also stop whenever you feel like it. A step up from there would be raiding in a free company. Not necessarily an FC static, but an FC that organizes raid nights and you can just join in whenever there's a spot open. I used to be in an FC like that organized stuff on the weekly, and then you would see some regulars come back every single week, and you'd also get some new people here or there. So a little bit more organized than Party Finder, but still a little bit random from time to time with who you were actually playing with. Then on the opposite end, you have joining a static. It gives you the most consistency and is what I have been preferring for most of my time playing 14. You always play with the same people, you usually have set days that you play on each week, and then you also decide on strategies that you will stick to for the sake of consistency. Of course, it does require a bit more commitment, but for most people that are looking to get into raiding, clearing the whole raid tier, farming it a bit, and then maybe dipping your toes into an ultimate raid, this is usually what you will be looking for. So that brings us to the topic of today's video. How should you go about finding a static? What should you look for? Or should you build one yourself? Now, for me personally, I've usually tried looking for a static to join rather than be the raid leader myself, but I think that's mainly because of the few times that I did raid lead, it's mostly been a bad experience. But if you have good people in your static, then it can also be the complete opposite of that. Like for example, right now I have been raid leading a static in Destiny 2 together with a friend of mine for almost a year now, and because the people that we have in the group are usually not too difficult, it's all pretty good. But when that isn't the case, raid leading can be quite frustrating, having to find replacements all the time because people are a no-show, people leaving, having to find permanent replacements for them. And I'm sure there are many other things that could annoy you if you were the one that has to take care of it all. Hence why I usually just like to sit back, make sure that I attend the raids that we decide on, and then I just don't really have to worry about the organizing aspect all too much. But finding the right static can take time, a lot of time. For me, it took me about 2 years or so of hopping between statics before I found something that I was happy with, because to me it's important that I enjoy being in that group. You need to mesh well with the other people in the group, you need to have similar goals and expectations, and you also need to be around the same level of play, or at least that is what I wanted from a static. If you're looking for something different, then by all means look for what you want. These are just some examples of what I was looking for. Now, this took a lot of time before I was able to find it. Sometimes I found a group that had amazing players, but personality-wise it just didn't click with some people, and I've had it the other way around as well, where I found a group that had great people, but they weren't great players, and that could lead to you feeling held back, and then you might not end up having a good time either. So I'm very lucky that I was able to find a group that has good players, good people, and they also have the same goals as me in terms of what they want to do or how to approach a new raid tier when it comes out, and how we change the schedule once the raid is on farm. So what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to try out a static, and then if things aren't quite what you expected, to say no and continue your search, because it's better to leave early if you see things aren't quite what you expected than it is to stay in there for a while and then leave later. Now, of course, this might take a lot of time, as I mentioned before, and if you really can't seem to find what you're looking for, then there is of course the alternative of making your own static. Sometimes you can just start on your own and then find people like that, or maybe you can group up with some people that you've already played with before that also want something similar like you do, and then raid lead together with them, kind of like what I'm doing with my Destiny group at the moment. Again, just like with finding the right static, finding the right players for your static can also take some time as well, and again, don't be afraid to turn down people if they are not what you're looking for. Whenever you get someone new in the group, talk with the existing members to see if they all mesh well, or if you think that the player doesn't meet the expectations of what you want to do with your static, then there could also be a reason to look for someone else. I usually tend to let people try and prove themselves, because players need to be given an opportunity to learn, and if they can show that they're up for the challenge, then that's great and you can move forward. But if it isn't the case, then don't be afraid to tell them and then look for a replacement again. It's important that everyone in the group also wants to be there, and it's better to disappoint one person that wants to join the group rather than disappoint more people that are already in the group that you've been playing with for a while because you wanted to accept this one or these two players and they end up changing the dynamic of the static, and then maybe that static that they're in is not the place that they want to be anymore when we're looking at the existing members. Of course, these are all my opinions on the matter. I mainly play to have a good time, but I also expect good play from my static members because that is also what they expect from me. If you're a more casual player, then you might be looking for something different in a static, or if you're maybe a more hardcore player than I am, then your views might again be different. There's a lot of different groups out there and there will probably be something for everyone, but if you really can't find what you're looking for, then maybe try to make that group yourself. But that does it for me. If you have any more questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments, but for now I want to thank you for watching, I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.